Happy Monday after SummerSlam, everybody. Big Jim here with you. 3 Count Thursday. I didn't want to leave this go all the way out until um, when we're live on Thursday night because there's a lot of stuff that's fresh in my mind after last night's SummerSlam pay-per-view that I thought, you know what? Because by the time we get to Thursday, there's been Monday Night Raw. Did we watch Raw? Didn't we? We want to talk about NXT TakeOver because Ryan needs to admit that he was wrong about Pat McAfee. So, like, there's going to be just a lot to get to on Thursday night. So I don't want to leave all of SummerSlam, and by that point, it's 4 days. There's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and sometimes some of the meat. Gets lost and forgotten and left off the bone and all of that by the time that we get to Thursday night and the podcast. So I just want to get a couple of things off of my mind. I reached out and I put it out on social media this morning to get some of the fans' thoughts on it, and I'll cover those as well. So it was kind of like 4 questions. Like, what did you think of SummerSlam? What was the match of the night? What was the moment of the night? And how would you grade the show? SummerSlam 2020. So, of course, there was 8 matches. One on the pre-show. Apollo Crews successfully defending his U.S. title over MVP. I thought it was a fine match for a kickoff show. Nothing special, nothing spectacular. I know Tim yesterday on our pre-show had predicted that Cedric Alexander would cause Apollo to lose and thus join the Hurt Business. Excuse me, that did not happen. I was kind of waiting for it to happen once Tim put it out there, but it didn't. Show kicked off with Bayley versus Asuka, successfully defending her women's title. Obviously, later in the night, then we saw Asuka defeat Sasha Banks for the Raw women's title. The SmackDown women's title 11:35, the Raw women's title 11:25. So both matches were given about the same. I thought it was going to go the other way. I thought that Bayley was going to lose and Sasha was going to win. But the kind of end result that we're kind of starting to see the cracks in the foundation of this. And these two, their friendship, the all the gold, the best friends, all of it, we're starting to see that separate. We saw it after the Raw Women's Title match, when Sasha's just glaring down Bayley, and I think we're going to see that continue to develop and devolve over the next couple weeks. Obviously, they have to defend their Raw or their WWE Women's Tag Team titles coming up at this Sunday. So at WWE Payback, another pay-per-view this coming weekend. But I thought those matches were really good. Tag team match, shortest match of the night, 7 minutes and 50 seconds. Street Profits defeating Andrade and Angel Garza. Again, we saw Andrade having to tend to Zelina Vega, leaving Angel Garza on his own to lose the match. So I think that faction is going to start to see some of its troubles continue as well. But a good tag team match. Nothing. I mean, it wasn't the best tag team match of all time, but it was quick. It was concise. It got the job done. And it was well done. Mandy Rose defeating Sonya Deville. No DQ, loser leaves WWE match. Mandy defeating Sonya, as I predicted yesterday. This was, and I'll go over my grades later when I grade the show, but this was my lowest graded match of the night. I thought both women did a fine job, but it didn't seem totally all there. And obviously, given everything that's gone on, that is more than understandable. I'm not faulting Mandy, Sonya, or the match itself. It just from a strictly grading the match standpoint, that's why. And I didn't give it a low grade. It wasn't like an F or anything like that. But I'll get to the grade later. But we got to the result that I thought was going to happen. I thought Sonya was going to lose, and a reaction that I saw from people last night was, oh, of course WWE is going to get rid of Sonya Deville right now. No, that they're not getting rid of Sonya Deville. Sonya Deville is still with WWE. Like I get, like we're trying to play up like kayfabe versus reality, but I think people like actually think that Sonya Deville's getting fired. That's not the case. I think this is the best course of action right now. It gives Sonya the opportunity to deal with what is a horrific situation that we talked about yesterday a little bit, and then then kind of clear her head. She'll be able to come back. My prediction for that, and she may not even be gone this long, but my prediction is Sonya Deville returns, Royal Rumble, wins the Royal Rumble, goes on to WrestleMania, wins the title. That to me, that would be incredible. Seth Rollins defeating Dominic Mysterio in the street fight. 22-35 is the length on that one, longest match of the show. I loved this match, and I'll talk about it more in a little bit. Asuka, of course, like I said, defeating defeating Sasha Banks with the Raw Women's title. Drew McIntyre defeating Randy Orton with the backslide, 20 minutes, 35 seconds to retain the WWE Championship. I really thought they were going to go Orton, but I'm fine with them not. And I know there's a lot of people going, oh, that's a stupid finish. Why would they do a backslide? But that match, there was so much storytelling throughout this feud. This feud has been so good. And like Randy Orton, winning the greatest wrestling match, now the greatest wrestler of all time, and Drew beats him with a backslide. Like, come on, And the nice thing about it, is, and I said it on Twitter this morning, neither finisher had to been used, didn't have to be kicked out of. You didn't have 100 finishers to get to the end of this match. And guess what? A guy got caught. It happens. It happens. It happens in matches all the time. So I really like the way that was executed. Really good match. And then, of course, the closer, The Fiend, defeating Braun Strowman to win the Universal title. It was 12 minutes. And then, of course, the return of Roman Reigns. The match itself, The match, I tweeted and said during the match, and I was talking to the guys, 3 Count, we have a group message, that if nothing big happens at the end of this match, there's no reason it should main event. Obviously, in the post match with Roman returning, that's an incredible way to end SummerSlam. The match itself wasn't great. I don't like that The Fiend is a champion. I don't think he needs to be champion, but he also shouldn't have lost. So, this match was a lose-lose. It was booked and set up to be a lose-lose because there was no good way to get out of it. Either Braun wins and The Fiend loses, or The Fiend gets a title. I guess the only way you could have really done it is if like The Fiend would have been like knocked out or something. If they really would have went backstage in the Falls Count Anywhere portion, The Fiend gets buried under something or what have you, and then Otis cashes in. But and then of course Roman returns. So what did I think of SummerSlam? I absolutely loved it. I thought it was a great show. Was it the best SummerSlam of all time? No. But I really liked it. And one thing that has been a recurring theme over the past couple of months is shorter pay-per-views. Like, it was 8 matches. Nothing felt drawn out. Nothing felt too long. Even the Seth match at 22 minutes did not feel like a long match because of the way, of the way that they executed it. So, another aspect of the show that I really liked is the Thunderdome. I thought the Thunderdome experience from a TV viewer. Now, obviously, I had said yesterday I was in the Thunderdome for 205 Live in the beginning of SmackDown on Friday. I did not get registered for last night or tonight on Monday Night Raw, but I thought as a viewer the experience was better. So my guess is that they improved the network capability and there wasn't as much lag and stuff on the video, so that you actually kind of got real-time reaction from the fans, which I think is great. I thought viewing it seemed much better. My only, from watching NBA action to the WWE and the way that the two are doing it, the NBA, it's just kind of the face is kind of cut out and it's put on the same background for everybody. Whereas the WWE, it's just whatever the fan has. For me, I have like the flags and stuff that you see on our Thursday night live shows behind me. So everybody's backdrop is a little bit different. I think maybe if the WWE did something like the NBA where it's just the fan in the frame, visually it may be better, but I know they like to encourage like having, like belts and props and, like I said, like the flags and things like that. I think they enjoy that. So maybe the WWE did that on purpose, but I thought that the presentation of the Thunderdome was infinitely better than it was for Friday Night SmackDown and 205 Live. As for the pyro and lasers, you're back in a big arena. They brought out pyro, they brought out lasers, pyro all over the building. I loved it, and I've often joked how like when WWE uses pyro, it makes AEWs really look bad. Like obviously in the Performance Center compared to Daly's Place, WWE hasn't been able to use pyro. AEW has, so they've had that step up over the WWE. Well, WWE just took that step back up over AEW, but it was good to see pyro and lasers added a lot to the show. I thought the match quality across the board from start to finish, all of them were good. There's not like I said, the Mandy Sonya match was my least favorite in terms of match quality. But that one wasn't even horrible. It was just kind of average. It just something seemed to be missing for me for that one. And I know other people thought differently, but I thought everybody brought it. It felt like a big show. It felt like a big four. It felt like SummerSlam. Everybody delivered last night. And finally, for my first question, my thought on the show itself, I thought was really cool. I thought the storytelling through all of the matches, particularly the two women's title matches, obviously Mandy and Sonya, Seth and Dominic, and then Drew and Randy. I thought the storytelling within the matches was so well done. It reminds you that the WWE can actually be really good. Like sometimes they miss, sometimes they just kind of maybe seem like they're going through the motions. But for one night in late August of 2020, for me, everything kind of clicked on that front. And then clean finishes. You had clean finishes everywhere. For right, wrong, or indifferent. That there's points throughout the years where WWE will just have, a dusty finish here, a double DQ over there, a double count out here. And it's like across the board on one pay-per-view, you'll have one clean finish. Last night, it was clean across the board. The only thing that was even mildly screwy, and it wasn't even that screwy, was the fact that Bayley didn't help Sasha to win the Raw Women's title match, which is obviously going to lead kind of to their breakdown. But otherwise, it was clean. It was all clean finishes. Like the WWE gave you 8 matches of just straight booking, which I thought was really, really good. For the match of the night, it's kind of a tie for me. I thought Bayley and Asuka, that opening spot. I know a lot of people don't necessarily like when their favorite star or a certain match gets the opening spot, but I've heard a lot of wrestlers on podcasts and different things say that if they're not going to main event the show, they'd like to open the show because they give an opportunity to set the bar for the night. and I thought Bayley and Asuka absolutely did that extremely well last night. And then Seth and Dominic Mysterio, that match thoroughly impressed me. This was a weekend of first-time matches, and both of them delivered. I thought Dominic was really, really good. I really thought he was going to win, but the way that they pulled it off, and the way that they booked the match and the finish of the match, with Ray handcuffed, reaching out to Dominic. Dominic's there. Ray can't get him, and Seth is just waiting to strike with the stomp. Oh, it was, man, it was so good. And there was that camera shot, the WWE does so many camera cuts sometimes that it's kind of a lost art of getting the right shot. But that shot of Ray just trying to get to Dominic to help him, and he couldn't. And then the stomp and the victory, I thought was really, really well done. But absolutely, my hat's off to Dominic Mysterio. I don't know what the long-term goal or booking or what have you will be for Dominic. They said he's signed, so I assume that he is actually going to be an active roster member. I'm looking forward to it because I thought he did extremely well. So those would be my matches of the night. And then for me, moment of the night, without question, is the return of Roman Reigns. I thought, to me, it was surprising. To me, it lived up to the tagline of "You won't see it coming." I know Matt and I, if you go to the 3 Count Twitter page, you'll see Matt does not agree with that assessment for me, and that's fine. That's wrestling. That's presentation. That's everybody who watches it gets to have that opinion. But I've said it. I think I even said it yesterday on the kickoff show that I heard a little buzz that people thought maybe this is the way, this is the time for Roman to come back. I didn't think he was going to come back until the pandemic was over, until fans were back in the building. So him returning, actually surprised the hell. I popped up, my jaw dropped. I actually could not believe that Roman Reigns returned. And to steal the tagline, didn't see it coming. As for whatever this means for Roman, because everybody assumes because he picked up the title that he's going to be right back in the title picture. And he might be. He absolutely might be. But he doesn't necessarily have to be, or that's not necessarily what's going to happen right away, because he also attacked Braun. Because if we remember, Braun took his spot at WrestleMania. That Roman was supposed to have the match versus Goldberg, and he elected to take time off, to be safe, to get away, from wrestling and all of that because of the pandemic and to keep his family safe. So, maybe Roman's first actual target will be Braun Strowman because he took Roman's spot at Mania for that title. Is Roman Reigns going to get back in the title picture? Absolutely. There's no question that he gets back in it. But it doesn't necessarily have to be right away. I'm going to reserve that judgment and that fear and that concern until either Friday night on SmackDown or until WWE tells me otherwise throughout this week. But the moment itself to close SummerSlam with Roman coming back, I'm here for it. And then the tagline, the slogan on his shirt, "Wreck everybody and leave." I absolutely love it. That is, WWE makes a lot of bad shirts. This is a good one. It'll definitely end up in my collection here before it's too long. Before I get to the grade on the show, I'll go to our social media and the responses that I got from some of the listeners. I posed those 4 questions leading into the podcast. Charlie, friend of the show, Charlie, he says he'd give the show an A, a 96 out of 100. He said few matches went a few minutes too long for his personal taste. He really enjoyed the Shield Roman coming back. Nick said it was okay. Match of the night for him was Asuka versus Sasha. moment was Roman return. He gives the show a C plus. And then Ryan, not our Ryan, but another Ryan, says he's still trying to figure out if Roman is a heel or a face. But he said beyond that, overall he thought it was a decent show. Really enjoyed the ending of Drew versus Orton. The fact that no finishers were successfully hit is an interesting plot point. So Ryan, let me hit on that. Is Roman Reigns a heel or a face? Because everybody right away is like, oh, Roman made a heel turn. I think even like Sports Illustrated or Bleacher Report said, like a heel Roman Reigns, returns and makes an impact. I don't necessarily know if he is a heel. Because he attacked both Braun and Bray. So do you view Braun as a heel and Bray as a face? Do you view the Fiend as a heel and Braun as a face? Do you view both Braun and Bray as heels, or do you view them both as faces? So depending how you view them is how you view Roman. But also it kind of goes back to, shades of gray, good guy, and it's not good guys versus bad guys anymore. And, I go back to that quote from Triple H in an interview one time where he said Roman Reigns is the biggest heel in the company when everybody boos him regardless of how he's booked. So not to take an easy cop out here, Ryan, but I don't think there is a straight answer on if Roman Reigns is a heel or face. For me, I think it's just Roman's a badass. Wreck everybody and leave, to me, isn't necessarily the slogan of a quote-unquote baby face. To me, that's a little more on the heel side of the world. But again, I think it's all perspective. It's all how you view and how you look at how you look at all the characters, how you look at the programming, in general. But for me right now, based on what Roman did last night, he is more heel than face. But I don't think it's clean. I don't think it's clear cut. And I'll reserve more of that judgment again until Friday night on SmackDown. So I probably didn't clear up your answer or your question, Ryan, but that's my take on it. That more heel than face, but I don't think it is not clear. And then finally, our friend of the show, Marcus from the Final Wrestling Place, that is Tim, one of our co-hosts. Him and Marcus have a podcast of their own. It's a great listen. You should go. While you're listening to this podcast, you should go subscribe to the Final Wrestling Place. But this is his reaction. She said, as a whole, I thought SummerSlam was much more enjoyable and digestible than the marathon SummerSlams dating back to 2015. A leaner card allowed every match the opportunity to stand alone and stand out. Sasha Bailey stuff going to hurt the show for him. Women's division too talented for Bailey, Sasha, and Asuka to eat up this much time. Marcus, I hope that coming out of this that we start to see more variety in the competitors that compete for the title on each show, and the tag titles. You can have a Sasha Bailey storyline, but it doesn't have to be all wrapped up in the title picture. He says Bailey for him is almost approaching Triple H Reign of Terror level for his opinion. None of her matches stand out to him. He said this was her best pay-per-view match during the run, but her best still isn't very good. For me, Marcus, I love this Bailey. I like this Bailey so much more than wacky waving, inflatable arm flailing tube man, happy-go-lucky Bailey. But I can see how it rubs people the wrong way. He said the tag match is enjoyable. Really liked Owens at ringside teasing Black for the next night. It makes him want to watch Raw. Sonya is a superstar. Absolutely. And that's why I said I can't wait until she returns. and I hope it is a rocket ship to the moon, because she is absolutely incredible. He said the Rollins Mysterio match was really good. The structure allowed Dominic to get some lucha stuff in. The rest was storytelling, slower pace. Yeah, I 100% agree with that assessment there. He said Asuka Banks was fine. He's not big on Banks, but she's definitely improved during this era. McIntyre Orton was his match of the night. Storytelling within the match was phenomenal. Pacing was perfect, and the finish was fantastic. He said he can't wait to see more, whether it's next weekend, next month, or next year. The way that they finish this match, it doesn't have to be a rematch at Payback. It could literally be at any time. This is kind of one of those open-ended feuds. But I feel like Randy Orton has like every open-ended feud. Edge, Triple H, John Cena, probably Bray Wyatt, probably Roman Reigns. Like there's literally just, and maybe that just is a doubling down on how great Randy Orton is. Fiend Strowman, he said, was about getting to the end. Feud doesn't need the title. They're among the strongest characters WWE had presented and protected the last few years. They have plenty of backstory to justify closing the show without the title involved. I agree, and that's why I think I was so nervous about this one. And finally, he says Roman is back at the moment, all-time moment, definitely moment of the night. Can't wait for whatever is next for the big dog. He says, I'm thinking we are going to see a Diesel 96 run for him, but just happy he's back. He closes by saying his grade is an A-. I feel like this is a group project in school. Roman and Orton Drew did all the heavy lifting. Without them, it's a C+ or a B- effort. So thank you, Marcus, Nick, Ryan, and Charlie, for getting your thoughts and reaction to the show. Finally, for my grade of the show. Now, I think it was back at Backlash that I kind of started doing a new grading system because of Matt, because of co-host of the show, Matt. So I grade each match, and that gives me and segment. There wasn't really any other segments for this one, and that gets me my grade of the show. I'm going to preface this by saying, like, if I'm going based on feel, based on when the show closed last night, how do I feel about SummerSlam? How do I feel? I would go an A or an A+. Like, that show felt like a pay-per-view. That show felt like a Big Four. That show felt like a SummerSlam. That felt like a big show. So based off feel and surprise and all of that, A or an A+. But based on matches and the grade, I gave the street fight an A. I gave the Sonya Mandy a C+. Again, just it felt like something just was kind of off. But I respect the hell out of both of them. I think this was a match that was out of Mandy's comfort zone, and both of them delivered. The U.S. title, I gave a B-. Tag team title match, Raw tag team titles, I gave a B+. The Universal title match, I gave an A based on the post match, because when I look at matches, I basically go like from the start of the highlight video to the end of the segment. So until they like basically cut to backstage for the next interview, they cut to the next highlight video, whatever. So for this one, it's the start of the highlight video to when the show went off the air with Roman's return. That segment got an absolute A for me. The match itself wasn't great, so that's why I didn't give this an A+. But the Roman brought it up to an A. Bayley versus Asuka, A. Raw Women's title match, A. And Drew versus Randy, I actually gave a B+ right after I watched it, because I grade these immediately, and at that moment I wasn't like super. I was a little surprised, maybe surprised by the finish with the roll up. I love it now. I'd maybe bump this up to an A- or an A if I'm regrading it, but I do these immediately. So the total points, when I add up all, 711 points divided by the 8 matches gives an 88.88. So that is a B plus. I had pre-graded the show at a B. So WWE outdid itself. Like I said, if I would rescore it this morning, I'd probably bump up the WWE Championship match to an A minus or an A. That probably brings the show overall up to like a to an A minus. But it's a B plus. SummerSlam, I think it did really well, and I think it's going to lead into Monday Night Raw tonight. I'm excited for Raw tonight. Especially with the Thunderdome, Keith Lee being announced for Raw tonight. Man, what do they do with Drew and Orton? With there's what matches are going to be set for Sunday at Payback. I think it's really exciting. So that's kind of my take on SummerSlam. I'm sure we'll talk some about it on Thursday night based on this morning. There's probably going to be some arguments on Thursday night. So if you like arguments and conflict, tune into 3 Count Thursday live 8 o'clock Thursday night on our Facebook page. Otherwise, visit 3countthursday.com and our home network NGSC Sports at ngscsports.com. Until then, stay safe, stay smart, and go for the pin.